In this session, we'll start looking at what really makes Excel powerful: formulas. Now, don't let the term formula scare you. Trust me, I know the feeling. Math was never my strong suit at school. But it's all about understanding the logic behind the functionality. In essence, an Excel formula is nothing more than arithmetic instructions that uses cell references to perform a calculation of the data in those cells. By cell reference, I mean the use of a combination of a column letter and a row number to identify a cell in a worksheet. You'll remember we talked about this in a previous session, and although simple, it can confuse many users. But don't worry, we're going to start talking and working with formulas now, and cell references is the basis for this, so any doubt you may have, it will be gone by the end of the session, and you'll have a clear understanding. Okay, let's start by looking at the basic structure of an Excel formula. First, every formula starts with an equal sign. Then, you add a cell reference, meaning the name of the cell where the data you want to include in your formula is located. Now we need an arithmetic operator, meaning multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction. Then, we need another cell reference to complete a basic formula. This is the basic format. So, let's go back to Jamie's marketing budget and do an example. I'll click on F4 on the total budget. Then I type the equal sign. We always start a formula with equal sign. Now I'm going to type B4, which is the cell where the total of print ads for the first quarter is located. Immediately, you'll notice that Excel visually identifies the cell, almost like telling you, okay, this cell is being referenced in your formula. If I leave it like that and just press enter, the same content of B4 is now displayed in F4. And this is because our formula so far states that F4 equals B4. But let's distinguish between B4 and F4. They both show $1,200. But the difference is that if I click on B4 and look at the formula bar, I can see that, yes, the content in the cell is actually the amount $1,200. But if I select F4 and look at the formula bar, I can see that there is no $1,200, but the formula calling or referencing the content in B4. Keep this difference in mind, because it will be very important a little later in the exercise. Now, what I'm really looking for in F4 is to obtain the total amount for print ads. So let's edit the formula to add the other quarters and make a calculation. Remember, to edit the content of a cell, I can do it by double-clicking in the cell or using the formula bar with the cell selected. Okay, I need to do an addition, the sum of the totals in each quarter. So in this case, next to B4, I'll add a plus sign and type C4, and then repeat the process for the other quarters. Notice how all the cell references in the formula are now visually selected. So my formula is equals B4 plus C4 plus D4 plus E4. Now click enter and Excel performs the calculation. Let's do it again, but this time let's get the combined total of expenses for the first quarter. That means calculating the sum of print ads, online ads, content SEO, and the rest of expenses, but only for the first quarter. So we're going to work with the first quarter column, but the process is the same. So we go to B12 and start our formula with the equal sign. This time I'll show you a little trick to make entries faster. Instead of typing, using my mouse I can simply select the cell I want to add, and notice how it gets added to your formula. Then another plus sign, then select the next cell, plus sign, and keep going until all cells in the column are selected. At the end, your formula should read equals B4 plus B5 plus B6 plus B7 plus B8 plus B9 plus B10 plus B11. Click enter and the total of expenses for the first quarter of the year will be displayed. Excellent. This was not too bad. Easy. But now, to get all totals, we have to repeat this process for all columns and rows in the table. Well, not quite. Remember, we have our new best friend, the fill handle, which allows us to replicate the content of a cell to adjacent ones. But now, before we apply it here, let's understand what will happen. A couple of minutes back I said to keep in mind that when you use a formula, the actual amount of the calculation is not contained in the cell, only the formula with cell references. In this case, click on B12 and you'll see that the formula is in the cell. That means that if we apply the fill handle starting at B12, we won't be copying the total amount, but the formula itself, which is exactly what we need. So with B12 selected, click on the fill handle and drag it until the fourth quarter, and boom, look at this cell. Why is it showing all those number signs? What is wrong? Nothing at all. Whenever the length of digits in a numerical value is larger than the width space available in the cell, Excel will show you this, pretty much saying, hey, I have a number here for you, but no space to show him. So all you need to do is to go to the top of the column and make it slightly bigger. There you go. Now the amount fits properly. If you click on each total, you'll see that the formula we had in B12 has been replicated in the adjacent cells. It changed the reference of cells adapting to the new formula location, meaning the columns where it was copied, but the structure is the same. Now, let's do it again, but for our total budget column. We already have a formula in E4, which is equal B4 plus C4 plus D4 plus E4. With the cell selected, we can click on the fill handle and drag down to apply the formula. But I'll show you a new trick here. Instead of click and drag, you can simply double click on the fill handle and it will automatically apply it all the way down the table, column, or row. This is particularly useful when you work with tables that have dozens or maybe even hundreds or thousands of rows and columns, and dragging may be cumbersome. Okay, take your time and practice creating simple formulas using the data in the table, or use some of the practice workbooks available for the course. Now you know that to perform additions, you use the plus sign. For subtraction, use the minus sign. For multiplication, use the asterisk. And for division, the / sign. Okay, well done for this session. In the next one, we'll continue working in Jamie's marketing budget while expanding on formulas. We'll also look into the difference between two types of sales references, relative and absolute. Okay, see you in the next lesson.